let's be honest. We hit on this a little bit, and it was a really big talking point throughout the day yesterday. Alyssa Thomas suspended for what she did, the fist to Caitlin Clark's throat during the Mercury's win over the Fever and all these things in the WNBA. Look, Caitlin Clark is the biggest star in the NBA or the WNBA. She would be one of the biggest stars in the NBA, to be clear. Right? That's how big she is, how much she matters to that league. And so when people like me that don't follow the WNBA, one of the things that's really annoyed me over the past 24 hours is these gatekeeping idiots that are like, oh, well, you don't follow the WNBA, so you can't talk about it. No. The only reason anyone is following it that isn't already a WNBA fan, a big reason why is Caitlin Clark. And so when they tune in or when they see, oh, well, one of the faces, the face, to be clear, of the league, not best player, face of the league, two different things, and most popular player in the league and one of the most popular basketball players on the planet is getting roughed up for no reason, they're going to react. They're going to talk about it. When her head coach is saying things like this after the game, well, it's going to be a big deal. Here's Stephanie White following the play.
We have a generational talent and a WNBA superstar who had two cheap shots right there that weren't called. And I just say, again, absolutely unacceptable.
Steph, do you think that the league needs to look into how Caitlin Clark is defended or how she's officiated going forward?
I mean, we spent all offseason looking at officiating. All offseason. And I still say the one thing that we keep asking for is consistency. She is not called the same way everybody else is called.
Steph, one more on Caitlin. Obviously, you're very forceful tonight. What made you want to maybe make that statement so forcefully tonight after you defended her in the past, but obviously a little more fire?
Because they were so egregious. I mean, the fist in the throat is crazy. It's crazy. It's dangerous.
Yeah. That's Stephanie White afterward. Look, this stuff is so cut and dry to me.
Right.
Like, if it happened to LeBron or Steph Curry or insert top player in the world, we'd be talking about it. So if it happens to the top player in the league, we're going to talk about it. Even if she's not the best, she's one of the best players, by the way. That's the other weird thing, narrative-wise, is like, oh, Caitlin Clark's not even the best player. She's overrated. She's getting you 20 and 8 a night. Like 20 and 8 a night. What are you talking about? It doesn't matter what league you're talking about. If you're a player and you're averaging 20 and 8, well, you matter. And she's a huge star, and first things first, the league shouldn't allow this for any player, but certainly not the face of the league.
And that's exactly the point here. I think if any player gets throat chopped like that, there should be a suspension that comes. Alyssa Thomas did get a one-game suspension following the play you just saw there against the Indiana Fever earlier this week, and this is the right move for the WNBA. But I think where the difference does come in is how the WNBA needs to react. I think a one-game suspension is worthy of the play we just saw there. But I think the way you stop this stuff from happening to the face of your league is you do something a little bit bigger than that. You make a statement in terms of how you're going to react to stuff like this. And when you're a player like Caitlin Clark is in jeopardy of now missing games because of unnecessary plays like that, she was removed from that game with a back injury, not clear if she'll play in their upcoming game, came from that play, and then also an illegal closeout against Caitlin Clark later in the game. But when you have a player like Caitlin Clark who's having this stuff happen to her relatively often here in the WNBA, you need to go out of your way to protect her as the WNBA. Make sure she can stay on the court. Make sure she can keep the eyeballs on the sport the way she has grown it over the last 3 years. I think the biggest takeaway I have from a lot of this stuff is Caitlin Clark came into the WNBA 3 years ago, and it boomed the league of likes we've never seen before. And 3 years later, it seems like they're still not quite caught up to what all that has done for the game.
I don't think they've embraced what she does mean. And some of you, and I'm talking to, I think the minority, but people that are like, oh, well, you're not a WNBA expert. You don't watch every game. You don't follow it. Well, fine. You know who does? Robin Lundberg. He's one of the best on the WNBA. And here's what he had to say the night this happened on Wednesday night following Caitlin Clark, Alyssa Thomas, and this entire controversy when it started.
This clip is going to be everywhere. It's going to be everywhere. Caitlin Clark was on the receiving end of it. Caitlin Clark is the biggest star in the history of the sport, full stop. And to the general public, they've seen this sort of stuff over and over and over again. And I don't want to hear any of that damsel in distress stuff neither. Keep it 100. Caitlin Clark has been on the receiving end of this sort of stuff way too much in her WNBA career. No one's saying it's only Caitlin Clark, but it's been Caitlin Clark a hell of a lot. She's gonna get hurt. If this keeps up, she got hurt back issue. This is a pure Alyssa Thomas thing. And it's now on the WNBA to look at it and come back and render a verdict and send a message.
And so since then, and shout out to Robin Lundberg for the instant reaction, and he's great on the WNBA, great follow on X or on YouTube as well. But for me, all right, so they suspended Alyssa Thomas for 1 game. So that's one thing. The league did its part. 2 things now. If you're one of Caitlin Clark's teammates, this is a no-go. This can't happen. And 2, if you're Caitlin Clark, it can't happen. And that's part of it too, is like, if you're going to do this, well, then you need to be about it. Like, honestly, if that happened at the park, you're fighting. And I get it, like, you can't fight every time someone's physical with you or anything like that, but either someone on the Fever needs to be the enforcer, and you go that route, or Caitlin Clark needs to throw someone. Like honestly, and it's one of the two. And so I equate it to Steph Curry. Because if I'm preparing against Caitlin Clark or Victor Wembanyama, we talked about this last month, it's very much a basketball thing, earlier this month, guess what teams are going to be doing? They're going to try to be physical with Victor Wembanyama because he's this tall, lean guy. Well, guess what teams in the WNBA are planning? Caitlin Clark is this guard that runs a ton, that has the ball in her hands a ton. Guess what we're going to do? We're going to knock her around. That's it. That's the game plan.
Yeah.
We're going to get her off her game. We're going to be extremely physical with her. We're going to make her feel it when she drives in. We're going to make her feel it when she goes for that 5th rebound or that 6th rebound, or she tries to push it up court and pump fakes a 3 and then drives a hole. That's what we're going to do. It's the same thing NBA teams do with Steph Curry. And one thing Caitlin Clark is going to have to do as she progresses throughout her career is get stronger. Steph has done that. Get stronger, bulk up, continue to do that. But on the other side of it, this comes with the territory when you're a star. There's going to be the Jordan rules from the 80s with the Pistons. They were like, we are going to just hit him and hit him and hit him. It's been part of it. So she'll have to evolve her game. In the meantime, though, the Fever, they have to have an enforcer. And it would be hard for Clark to do it herself, and I think of it in a football way. Like Joe Burrow, if a defensive lineman hits Joe late, I'm not banking on Joe doing it. I think it would need to be someone else that steps up and does it.
Right. No, absolutely, you're right. And I think, obviously, Steph is a great comp career-wise for Caitlin Clark, but Draymond Greens don't necessarily grow on trees in terms of adding those to your roster. So a more recent example of exactly this in the same city, last year, before the finals run for the Indiana Pacers, Tyrese Halliburton was fouled 2 times really, really hard in back-to-back games towards the end of the regular season. After that, the Pacers went out and signed James Johnson, who's a black belt in martial arts, to sit on the bench, not even play, but whenever there was an altercation, he was the first one up and talking about it. And I think that's exactly the route that the Fever need to take. They need to have someone on that bench, and the one who's done a really good job of it so far is Sophie Cunningham. Anytime any of this stuff pops up, Sophie Cunningham is in the mix, talking about it, getting in the face of the opposition and making it known that this is not going to happen. But obviously Sophie Cunningham is a huge piece of the Fever's rotation as well, and you have to trade that off in terms of, you don't want Caitlin Clark getting suspended for fighting back for stuff like that. You don't want Sophie Cunningham getting suspended for fighting or anything like that. So I think that adding an enforcer is a great move, as crazy as it might sound in the WNBA. This has happened way too frequently for Clark this early in her career, and I'm shocked that the WNBA is not taking a more offensive approach here instead of defensive in terms of suspending and reacting to all of this stuff. If something happens to Caitlin Clark, there should be something decided almost right away that player is going to have some repercussions for those actions. Caitlin Clark is everything, basically, for what gets new eyes onto the WNBA at this point. And if she's going to miss time for injuries, that is a huge, huge loss, not just for their brand of basketball and the league itself, but for any kind of monetary gain of gaining advertising or more eyeballs on the league.
Yeah, it's weird how they've been so pushbacky on embracing this. Embracing her being the face. Because she is. Not the best player in the league, the face of the league. And that is unique. That is a very unique thing. Usually the best player is the face. And I think eventually she will be. A'ja Wilson's awesome. Yeah. Like, so that's part of it. Okay, that's fine. But when you're growing the league, it can be more than one player. But not embracing Clark is a major mistake by the WNBA, and I can't wait for the people to say, well, you don't follow the WNBA. You're right, I don't follow it day to day, but I've watched basketball my entire life. Caitlin Clark is the biggest star in the game, and right now, we're talking about it for all of the wrong reasons. We're talking about Caitlin Clark for all of the wrong reasons. That is a league problem.